I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Expert in You podcast. I'm your host, Carden, and this week I am very excited about my guest. You are going to get so much value from him. I can't wait to dive into everything that he's doing and let him share with you all of his expertise. So Omar Khan, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Ann. I've been told you're the person I got to talk to.
Oh, I love that. Well, the person that referred us to each other, she is a gem herself. So I appreciate that. So let me just give a little bit of background on Omar. First of all, he has advised on $3.7 billion in capital funding, and he does merger and acquisition transactions, as well as securing $50K plus million in equity from private and institutional capital. So you can already hear what we're going to talk about and his expertise. He's a graduate from the Rotman School of Business in Toronto and a CFA charter holder with 10 plus years of investing experience across real estate and commodities. And as a principal of Boardwalk Wealth, Omar has closed over $250 million in assets across Texas, Georgia, Florida, and South Dakota. And he was born in Dubai, which that's on my bucket list, by the way, to get to Dubai. So I love that. And he was born to a family of multi-generational real estate investors from Pakistan. He's lived in Pakistan, Canada, and the U.S. since then. And he currently lives in Dallas. We just had a whole conversation around this. And he lives with his wife, who is a physician, and his two sons. And what kind of a physician is your wife, Omar?
He's a pediatrician.
A pediatrician. So welcome to my show. I am super excited to have you here.
Well, I'm very excited to be here, and hopefully I can convince you to move to Dallas to be near your grandkids.
I know. So my son and his family, my grandkids are in Dallas, and so we just had a whole conversation around that. Yes, because I love Dallas. I think it's just such a wonderful place, and I would live there in a minute. If I could just drag my husband there, it would all be good, but that hasn't happened yet. So I'm excited to dig in. How did you get into all of the commercial real estate and investing and the mergers and acquisitions? How did you get into all of that?
Well, look, it's a combination of, my family they're reasonably financially sophisticated, but we've done a lot of boneheaded moves. So just to be very clear.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. So we're a business family. So as part of that is that, when you're in business, you get to meet other people and you're in that little environment, which is very supportive of these things. Mm-hmm. The other deal also is I went to college, pretty top ranked school, did finance, did my CFA, worked at bulge bracket bank. So part of it's personal, the family thing, part of it just happened to be professional, which I guess are linked to each other. Mm-hmm. The other part of this is also, look, a lot of this is also luck, right? I mean, you have to always know that you could be the smartest person in the room, but if, the right people at the right time aren't gracious enough to open doors for you, they aren't gracious enough to mentor you and advise you at the right time, technical knowledge is merely one aspect of a successful career. Right. Lots of things are, working with people, taking the right sorts of career paths, getting the right sorts of experiences, and then having the ability to connect with people. So a lot of these are, a lot of it's hard work, a lot of it is luck, a lot of it is serendipity, and a lot of it is just people being kind and gracious at the right moment.
I agree with that. And it sounds to you like you're talking about relationships could be a really big part of building this to the degree that you've been able
like
to.
Our business is all relationships. I'll tell you. I primarily work with, say, business owners, lawyers, doctors, accountants, these sorts of high income or high net worth white collar professionals or business owners. And the currency of our business is basically relationships because, look, I've got lots of investors that, if I have a deal, I send out an email and within 2 minutes, some guy will say, put me down for $1 million, put me down for 500 grand, put me down for 200 grand. And there's no way that in 2 minutes, they've read all through the financial analysis. It's just not possible, right?
Right.
The reason why it's there is because the trust is there. And again, trust has to be earned. Trust isn't given. So you earn it over a period of time. But the fact of the matter is that without trust, none of this other stuff works, basically. Right. But again, trust is earned. Nobody gives it to you.
Yes, I love that. And so you didn't always you did do this by yourself for several years. And now you really work with a team of people. Is that right?
No, so I worked institutionally, which means I was making other people a lot of money.
Okay.
Right? I was racket banks, investment banks, all of that stuff. I did oil and gas as well. And then a few years ago, 7, 8 years ago, when we moved from Canada, we basically were at a crossroads now because we were like, look, I've got personally a great network, great sets of work experiences, professional and personally, right? And we were at a crossroads. We were like, okay, now if we just continue down this corporate path with my wife being a physician, me being in finance, look, it's a good life. It's a fun life. By the grace of God, we're doing well. But a lot of times, when you have that itch, right? When you have that thing where you're like, there's more to at least what I want from my life. Nothing wrong with having a job and everything, but I want to have a business and I want to do XYZ things in my life, right? So to scratch that itch, I just was lucky that I could be a lot of other guys and girls where I had that itch, but I didn't have the professional experiences around it and the network. In my particular case, I had that itch or the thing of being an entrepreneur, but my set of professional and personal experiences were a very good match with what I wanted to do. Right. Because typically, you want to do it right. See, like we were talking, I know a lot of physicians, lots of lawyers that want to do something, but it just so happens that they have such specific domain knowledge that, and it's very great and they're very highly compensated, but that domain knowledge doesn't translate outside in a business manner, like as a matter in business. In my case, it translated. So like I said, hard work, but also a bit of luck, right? Because sometimes you have a problem, but you have a solution. In my case, I had a problem and a solution. I love that. Did you find it hard, Omar, to really go from being an employee or in an organization to all of a sudden, even though you had the itch to be an entrepreneur, did you find it hard to make that transition? Because a lot of people have a real fear of stepping into entrepreneurship. They're afraid, what if I fail? Did you find that or how did you overcome that if you did? To be honest with you, I should have done this a long time ago. Let's put it this way. There's a couple of things. Look, I worked at a pretty major oil and gas company running some of their M&A stuff, acquisitions. And what I saw was I had lots of great mentors. These guys and girls are making serious money. Right. But the fact of the matter is that for whatever reason, I just didn't want to be like them. And not in a professional capacity. Professionally, they're my mentors and all that stuff, right? In a personal capacity, I just did not think that the life they were leading or the set of attributes they had in their life after 20 years of being at the top of the corporate ladder wasn't a life I wanted for myself. I prefer I prize the ability to basically go meet interesting people, work on interesting projects, and have the flexibility, time flexibility, relationship flexibility that, if you're at the top of your career as an investment banker, you just don't have the time. You just don't have the time to do these things, right? It's a trade-off, right? It's a trade-off. You get paid a really high salary, but the golden handcuffs are very real. I was just going to ask you that too. Did you find were you already financially in a position where it wasn't going to be a big deal for you to make that shift? Or did you have to let go of those golden handcuffs and now it's a little scary and financially? Yes and no. In my particular case, what I also realized was I was like 30, 31 at the time. What I also realized was, look, the longer I put this off, the harder it will become. Because I was recently married and I thought, look, and my wife and I, we wanted kids, and by the grace of God, we had kids. Everybody's not that lucky. So, but I did know that, look, if anything, I should have done this 10 years ago when I had nothing to lose. And when 10 years ago, I was thinking, God, I need to get a better job. I need to go do this. It's in the rat race. If I just have a little bit of more experience and a little bit of more money and a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this, somehow these stars will perfectly align. And that day never happens. It never happens, right?
No,
because it never happens.
Never a perfect time. No, you just have to make that decision.
So after about 10 years of working externally, or gosh, whatever, 9-10 years of working, I realized, look, now is the time where, for instance, the longer I put this off, this itch will only grow and it will be harder. Look, because once you have kids, once you have responsibilities, more responsibilities, right? When you're responsible for yourself, who cares, right?
Right.
It's just going to become harder. And I'd seen a lot of guys who were 40, 45, 50. Now they've got kids, they're going to college or the high school or something. And it is impossible for them to leave, because you're making a couple of $100,000 a year, maybe a couple of million a year. You can't leave it because now you got a house, you got kids, you got mortgages, you got bills, and you can't just check out and experiment this thing, right? So for me, it was hard in some respects. Yeah, there's a financial security element, but that was overridden over a number of years by the fact that it's go time, basically. Or either do or don't do it, right? If you don't want to do it, then just stop thinking about it and just move on. There's nothing wrong with it, but just move on. Then.
Right.
There's no need to torture yourself about thinking about it and also not do anything about it.
Yes.
So in some respects, I mean, it was a hard, easy decision because it was percolating for so long in my mind.
So your wife is a physician, and how did she feel about you moving into entrepreneurship? Because sometimes a spouse thing is a real thing. So how was that transition? Because that had to be a transition for your family too.
Yes and no. My wife is very supportive, number one, right? Number two, I mean, both of us, we had lived considerably below our means, right? So we don't go blow our money on stupid stuff, right? I mean, look, we live a very good life. I mean, now when I compare my life to other people, I realize, wow, we blow a lot of money on stupid stuff. It's way below our income level, right? So whatever potential income we have.
So you can do that.
Yeah, you can do that, right? So my point is that number one, I'm very grateful and lucky that she's very supportive, right? I've seen this with other friends we have, because now I'm also at a stage in life where a lot of our friends are getting divorced, right? And a lot of the divorces, whether people like to say it or they don't, happen because of personality clashes and money issues. That's just the reality of the situation, right? I mean, that's just it is, right? So now, at least as of today, I cannot tell you about tomorrow. As of today, my wife is very supportive, and I'm very lucky as of today.
And you're doing your business is booming and you're doing really well. And I would love to talk more about what it is you are doing and more about the business side that you're in.
So look, I have a team around me. We basically acquire and develop. So acquire is take existing buildings and develop it. You see a barren piece of land and we develop apartment complexes. So acquire and develop, right? And apartment complexes all over the Southeast and in select markets like Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The reason why we do this is, and we have our investors with us now, the reason why we do this is for multiple reasons. Number one, housing is a big shortage, affordable housing, especially in America. And whether the rate goes up and keeps going up forever, this problem is not getting solved anytime soon. I mean, it is a structural problem in the economy, right? So it's a good business to be in, number one, right? Cash flows are great. You make great money as investors, right? But the other deal also is there is so much low-hanging fruit, because we personally see so many people in our markets that are just really bad landlords. They don't repair their properties. They don't take care of them. And when I talk apartment complexes, I'm talking like 150 apartments, like an apartment complex, 200 apartments. On complex, we do that kind of stuff, right? So there is so much low-hanging fruit, because a lot of times all you have to come in and do is put proper management in, right? Take care of your residents, and when you provide good value, you take care of your residents. They in turn pay you, and this whole thing goes on. Because a lot of times what we've seen happens is people think of it as an extractive thing. Hey, I just got to get money out of these guys, right? Well, the problem there becomes when you're butting heads like this all the time and you don't add value, you don't get paid, because your residents are always going to be up in arms. Like, why do I got to pay? Right. And then your investors don't get paid. So if you put in the right management, you have the right incentive structures in place, It's a very lucrative business, and it's a win-win for both the residents because we provide them safe, affordable, quality housing. And it's very good for our investors because they get cash flows, they get capital appreciation, and they get a ton of tax benefits. I mean, oftentimes they're making money and legally not paying any taxes on it, which blows people's minds.
Right. Right.
So it's a win-win situation. And because we are taking advantage of structural issues in the economy, it's not like you can press a button and 10 million of the shortage of residential households will suddenly pop out of nowhere. Right. So that's what we do, basically, in a nutshell.
No, that's fantastic. And one of the things you said is you work with high net worth individuals. So doctors, attorneys, people that are making really big money, but they have to, but they have to put it into something. Otherwise, they're going to be paying taxes.
Think about it. If you're a doctor, right? Again, my wife's a doctor. Lots of people in my families are doctors, lawyers, engineers, business owners, whatever. You're a physician. There's a very good chance you're at or near burnout. Number one, physician burnout is real. That's a real thing. Every physician knows it, whether they want to admit it or they don't. Number two, if you're not, let's say you're a physician, lawyer, investment banker, business owner, you're already working as many hours as you humanly can. You can't just create a day. I mean, that's just not going to happen, because if you could, you would have done it already.
Sure.
Right. So you are so focused on your really high income and growing that pile of income that you do need to basically go invest that money. And people have been on the stock market roller coaster for so long to realize you're up one day and down the other. And it's basically, I mean, do you want to work 14 hours and then handle the stress of the stock market going up and down based on things you have no control over? I mean, it's just, you get up one day, 40% of your portfolio is magically gone. You didn't do anything at all, right? So when people see that, eventually they see the light and they realize, look, the strategies, look, I'm a CFA charter holder, right? Which is basically the gold standard in portfolio management. And I always chuckle that people talk about wealth management. And then I tell them, look, but you need to have wealth to manage it.
Right.
How can you manage wealth when you don't have it? So you need to focus on building the wealth first.
Build it
before you manage it, right? Yes. So you could be a really high income doctor, lawyer, accountant, business owner. But if you're making like, say, 300, 500 grand, it doesn't matter how much you make. It matters how much you keep.
Right.
What is left? And if there is nothing left to keep, then it doesn't matter. You're basically, like the example I gave my wife is, look, there is no difference between, and again, I'm not saying this out of arrogance or I'm not being like cocky about it. There is no difference between a doctor and a person working at McDonald's, because they're both, its hours of input is equal to dollars output. Right? Yes. If you're in that rate, if you're in that little circle, this hamster wheel, there is no difference between, I don't care what type of lawyer you are or what type of doctor you are. There is no difference between you and a McDonald's worker. Yes. The only difference is the dollar per hour you charge. That's it.
That's
because
true.
The day you stop working is the day you stop making money. And that's not being wealthy. That's just manual labor, basically. Yes. Essentially, at the end of that's just labor, basically. Wealth is that you don't work and the money still keeps coming. And that's what we basically do.
I love that we're talking about this, because one of the things, so before I started working with coaches and consultants and experts to help them become a coach and consultant, I built a lot of businesses and I sold them. So I am always preaching wealth through business. You're preaching wealth through investing, but all of those things are so important for people to realize. This is just the means to the end. To the end where we're really trying to go. Yes. So I love that we're talking about this, because I think too many people just work with the idea of a paycheck and they don't think bigger. They don't think about investing, or the stock market is their go-to. Well, I can tell you, I'm not super impressed with the stock market, and I've been in it for many, many years. But our best investments have been, now we have not invested in multifamily units and things like you're doing, but we have invested in property and things that now, have 10 times or 20 times in the value of those. And so this is such an important factor for people to understand. There's more. It's not just about doing your thing and then that's it.
Yeah, I look, my point is you can learn the easy way or you can learn the hard way, but that lesson is coming.
Yes.
Right? So you have to now decide that is the purpose of your education. You're highly educated, went to like all the colleges in the world. Is the purpose of your education to set you free, or is the purpose of your education to make you work more hours? That's basically the decision most professionals eventually have to make for themselves.
But how do you think most of them really think until they come across an Omar? Or they come across an Ann that maybe shows them there's a different way.
I can tell you the solution to most people, the solution that most high income, because again, you have to realize a lot of these are like type A personalities, right?
Yes.
Like, as an example. So a lot of times, number one, most of these guys and girls, if not all of them, are emotionally like this. They're type. They'll never share their problems, number one, which is
right.
what to do. Because if you don't ask for help, how are you going to get it?
Sure.
I mean, nobody can read your mind. But number two, the default solution to a lot of people always is, well, I just need to work harder. I just need to do more shifts. If you're a physician, I need to take more locums, or I need to pick up more shifts. Well, look, man, I mean, I guess that's one way of dealing with your problem. But how long are you going to do that? How long is the only answer to all your problems is going to be run faster?
Right. No,
right?
You're absolutely right.
Because that's not an answer. Because eventually, look, if your answer to every solution in life is run faster, there will be a younger person or somebody more willing to take on more shit at a lower price for a longer period of time than you do. And that's just a race to the bottom. And who the hell wants to be the lowest cost provider for anything on the planet?
Right. You know, one of the things that you're talking about, Omar, is the fact that people, a lot of times they don't. So I think some of the thinking, some of the mindset is the old way of business and the old way of people having a job, going to that job, coming home, providing for their family. But technology and everything that we have available today has opened up a whole new world for people. And there's so much opportunity today to do the things you're doing, to do the things that I'm doing. And I think I can say, okay, maybe you didn't have exposure to those things, or you didn't see those opportunities, or you didn't even know about those opportunities. But today you have so much available to you that the mindset has shifted and has changed. And so people are thinking differently. And that's why more millionaires emerge every single day, especially in the United States. I don't even remember what the number is, but it's because of the opportunities that we have available today. But people have to think and have to want to do those things and think differently.
Look, I 100% agree with you. And the simple question I tell people is, look, at the end of the day, who would you rather be? A person who has to get up every day and say, let's assume you're a physician, right? So you get up every day, every year, and try to make 300, 500, 800,000, $1 million? Or would you rather be a person who has assets that give them 300, 500, 800, 1 million? Who would you rather be? And this is not a trick question, because every single person on the planet says, I'd much rather be the person that has assets that produce this passive income. Right. I mean, it's not a trick question. Everybody will answer this so that's what wealth really is, because wealth is not just money. It is the ability to buy you time. It is the ability for you to think clearly about the future and not just be stressed about the day to day. It is the ability for you to take your resources and all your hard work, intelligence, and improve your community, your church, your mosque, your temple.
Yes.
If you don't have the time to do this, I mean, what's the point? Right.
Right. No, I totally agree. Let's talk about this is such good information. Let's talk about some logistics. If someone wanted to get into this and wanted to invest, walk us through the process, Omar.
So number one, you should go to my mailing list by visiting my website, boardwalkwealth.com.
We'll make sure that link is in the show notes.
I mean, literally the form is on the homepage. I mean, honestly, you'll see it, right?
Perfect.
You join now. You'll also get access to my hidden mobile app that has 9 hours of free passive investing courses. Now, the reason why I say this is not to shill for myself. The reason why I'm saying this is, look, the same intensity you had to bring as a lawyer, accountant, doctor, business owner to your line of work, way less intensity is needed to go do these things. I mean, it doesn't take you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see a free video on an app.
Right.
Let's be honest, right? So number one, you have to go to boardwalkwealth.com, register on the mailing list. Number two, you have to reach out and connect. Part of this is education, but part of this is common sense also, right? I joke with a lot of my doctor investors and I tell them, look, if you start every conversation by saying, I am a doctor, then the service provider will basically look at you as a walking, talking ATM. Right? But if you start intelligently and say, hey, tell me about what you do, you use some common sense and you filter through the noise, there are many people out there waiting to help you out. But just remember, like in the real world, there's a lot of shysters out there also.
Sure.
So get yourself educated, connect yourself with the right people, educate yourself, but that only takes you so far. You still eventually have to take the step.
Right. You have to take the action.
Yeah,
there's that.
Because eventually people get into analysis paralysis, and
yes.
the people want to go to like the 5th decimal point, and it's like mistaking the trees for the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're like, dude, all this knowledge doesn't matter if you don't take a step.
Absolutely. If you don't implement, it's pointless. Knowledge is just, yes. This has been so fascinating and so great. So one of the things we did talk a little bit about this, but I think you shared more with it when we were talking before we started recording. You talk about basically you go in and you turn around, you take buildings, you refurbish them, and you also said that you buy multifamily units that need to be kind of revamped, or they're in poor.
They're in very poor conditions. Yeah, look, hold on. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people just don't have good management, right?
Right.
So we buy existing product that we know is in our markets, that we know, hey, you got to put a little TLC in, put better management in, you can get more rents, provide a better community. We do that. We also develop from the ground up, because for us, we put our own money into all of our projects, right? So we're always looking for the highest possible return, but in the safest possible manner, right? Because it's no use somebody saying you have the highest possible return, and every year we find out all these scandals are happening, right? Or some guy says, I'm going to double your money in 2 months, and everybody rushes to give him the money, and we all know that's not possible, right? Let's be honest, right? So we want to do it in the safest possible manner, right? And this is coming in, buying, say, apartment complexes that need, say, better coat of paint. They need the interiors renovated. They need better amenities because it's getting a little dated. You need better management. I mean, I don't know when was the last time you went to an apartment community, but a lot of times you go and the first impression is, say, you're driving, curbside appeal, right? There are no flowers, or the flowers are dead. Right. I mean, going there, you're already subconsciously you're thinking, wow, this is a really bad place, right? Or if you meet the manager as an example, and the manager's like, hey, hello, how are you? Like, right? Now you're already thinking, am I going to get killed here? Like, what's the deal? Like, are they going to like murder me or something? Right? So a lot of this is small little things like that.
Right.
People, or when you go to an apartment unit and that hasn't been updated in 20 years, it's moldy, it hasn't been updated. Versus you go into one of our units, it's bright, airy, the lights are on, it's new everything, it looks nice. It's small little things like that. Now, there's a whole stack of these things, but this is where good management, prudent management of capital, all of these things come in. That's why you need a team. That's why you need specialists like us.
So how many people would be invested in, say, one apartment complex that you have?
Anywhere from 30 to about 80 people are invested.
Okay. And how much would someone need to get into something like that?
So the minimum investment is 50,000, but on average, people give us about 100 grand per deal.
50,000?
Yeah, 50,000.
Okay. That's great information for people to know, because what I teach people, that could be one client. And there you have it. There you could go and invest. So, no, this is fantastic. Anything else? I feel like we've covered a lot here. I know we're getting short on time, and I value your time. I'm so grateful you've been on here with me today. What else would you like to share before we wrap things up that maybe we didn't talk about?
Yeah, look, what I'd just like to share with people is, look, first of all, join our mailing list, get yourself educated. But the bigger point is you eventually have to ask yourself this question. What do I want to really do in 10, 20 years, or 5 years, or 7 years? And is the purpose of my life only to work like a dog for the rest of my days?
Right.
And look, for different people, it's different things. Some people are money driven. Some people are community driven. Some people are relationship driven. You just have to ask yourself that question. And if the answer is, I can't imagine why somebody would say, I just want to work like a dog for the rest of my life. But assuming your answer is, I don't want to work like a dog for the rest of my life, which is like the rest of us in the world, right? Then you can ask yourself a question. Are the actions I'm taking today, are they leading to the goal that I want to get to?
Yes.
If they're not leading to the goal that I want to get to, then intelligence says that you got to change the way you're approaching a problem, right?
Yes.
But any approach requires a little bit of pain and a little bit of uncomfortableness, but it's better to take a little bit of pain up front and to save yourself a boatload of pain in the future.
Right.
But that's a decision you have to take for yourself. Nobody can take that decision for you. Until that switch doesn't flip in your brain, you're going to feel the same things that you're feeling right now: burnout, anxiety, depression, sadness, all of this sort of thing. It's just going to be there. That's just the way it is. That's reality.
And life is just too short.
Life is too short at the end of the day. Look, I was telling you, I got 2 kids, right? 2 and 5, right?
Yes.
I love the fact that I spend time with my babies all the time, right?
Yes.
I pick them up, I hang out with them, because I see lots of my friends that are making very good money, but they haven't picked up their kids from school ever.
Right.
What's the point of life if you can't even hang out with your children?
Right. Absolutely. No, 100%. You are spot on. This has been so great. Do you have a book coming out? Did I?
Yes, I was going to show you this book.
Okay. I thought there was a book coming out. So let's share that.
There's a stack of them, but
fantastic.
So if you're a physician, we have a book on pilots, because we've got a lot of physician pilots, people, but this one is for doctors. So it's called Omar Khan, What Every Doctor Needs to Know About Passive Investing.
Very nice.
So if you're a physician, or even if you're not, because some of the same principles apply to you, right? You can reach out to us through our mailing list at Boardwalk Wealth. Ping me. I'll send this to you free of charge. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. We'll put all of those links, everything, all of your information in the show notes so people can get a hold of you. And you said that's boardwalkwealth.com is your site.
So it's BOARD, boardwalk, as in, when you're near the ocean, it's a boardwalk. Right?
The Monopoly boardwalk.
Yes, boardwalk, and wealth as in money.
Yes,
so boardwalkwealth.com.
Awesome. Well, it has been such an honor and a pleasure to have you on here with me today. I'm just so grateful you spent time with me and shared all of your expertise and your wisdom. And I just love everything you're doing.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And everyone, I want to thank you so much for listening to another episode. Please share this. Share Omar's information with other people as well that need to invest or want to get into what he's doing and really work with him. And thank you for being here. God bless you all. And until next week, have an amazing day. Bye-bye. If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.